Hello, folks. Welcome to Scratch the Surface. I'm EJ Scott. Today, my guest is actor Jon Barinholtz. Before I get into what we talked about, let me give myself a plug. I'm on Twitter at EJ Scott, and the podcast is at EJ Podcast. Instagram, EJ Scott1106. Website, EJScott.com. I have a documentary where I ran 12 marathons in 12 states in 12 months blindfolded because I am going blind from an eye disease called choroideremia that runs in my family. My grandfather was blind. My mom's a carrier. My brother is legally blind and has it right now. I have it, and my sister's a carrier, and my sister's two boys have it. And they are about to turn 10 and 14 years old. So I am always looking to raise awareness and try to raise money. So please go check out It's called Running Blind on iTunes, Amazon, or Google Play. There are only digital copies available. And only for $2 or $3 you can rent it or buy it. And it's well worth your time and money. Go check it out. It's called Running Blind. And to learn more about choroideremia, you could go to curechm.org, and you can also donate there. All right. So, Jon, I haven't seen Jon. I met Jon in Chicago like a decade ago, and I haven't seen much of him in the last several years. But he has a movie that's out right now called The Oath that his brother, Ike Barinholtz, who was on the show a couple episodes ago, wrote and directed and stars in. And it's a really good movie, so go check that out at your local theaters. But Jon and I talked about a lot of things. We talked about comedy and comedy in Chicago. We talked about how Ike was on MadTV and Jon tried to become a cast member on the new version of MadTV, and he got to be a writer. We talked about growing up in Chicago. And The Oath is like kind of a politically based comedy. And we talked about politics a lot. His friendship with Rob Belushi, who is the nephew of John Belushi and the son of Jim Belushi. We talked about marriage. We talked about how he proposed to his wife, all that stuff. Lots of good topics. We had a lot of laughs. It was good chatting with him in the time I've known him. We've never had a chat like this before. So it was a lot of fun. Thanks, Jon, for coming in. So from October 19th, 2018, enjoy my talk with Jon Barinholtz. Hi, Jon.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
It's good. It's good to see you, dude.
Good to see you. It's been
man.
years since we've seen each other in person.
It really has been, because...
Although I've seen you about a week ago. In a movie screen.
Yes, you did. You did. You saw me in The Oath.
That's right. But I met you in Chicago, I think.
Back in the Chicago days.
And I don't think I saw you out here in LA at all.
I think I saw you maybe at IO West out here.
Okay.
But I stopped doing...
each other.
I left my Herald team I don't know, 4 years ago maybe. Mm-hmm. So I just stopped being around there, and I would still do occasional shows, but yeah.
What is that Herald team doing now?
I don't know. I mean, they're all great people. One person's MIA, but the rest are still around.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but the IO West closed, and that killed that whole community.
It sure did.
Yeah, it really did.
Everybody's spread out like a firework now.
No kidding.
All over the place. Are you performing at all these days?
Yeah, I'll do like one a month. I'll pop into Second City for their office hour shows, or Jill Benjamin does that show Deep Dish with Rob Janis.
Okay.
It's like Chicago adjacent people.
Cool.
Who are here now.
Cool.
And and I still occasionally, my friend Rob Belushi, I think.
Yeah, I think I've met him. I don't know him well or anything.
Yeah, we still do the occasional, we're leaving this weekend to go to my alma mater at Colgate University in upstate New York, and we do a workshop with the students there and a show there. And
that's cool. You guys do a 2-person, right?
Yeah, but we actually, for this specific show, we do 2-person. For this show, it's more college friendly, so it's short form. So
Okay.
it's like, yeah. So
There's a 2-person short form?
no, we bring 2 other people out with us. That would be a nightmare.
Really?
I feel like 2-person short form.
That's hilarious. Short form. Can't you do a lot? Do you do that because you're like, well,
I'll
they
say
have
this.
attention span of a gnat. And,
Well, I'll say this. I actually like college students actually really do pick up. My experience has been that they respond well to long form. This specific show, the group that we go out and workshop and coach, they do short form. They don't do long form there. So we workshop them through some short form stuff, and then we do a short form show just so they can see like how we do it, and
Right.
So it's more beneficial to them.
Gotcha.
But short form is fun. You know, it's like it's fun. It can be fun to do.
It is. Totally. That's
Yeah.
how I got started. And
Yeah.
I was watching Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
And I was like, those guys are amazing.
Pros.
And then I started doing short form in different places, and I was like, short form's where it's at. I was convinced. And I saw like 2 long form shows in New York. One was at a UCB cage match, and then one was in like some non-theater by a guy I knew. It was just a show. Like in New York, you do shows in the weirdest fucking places.
Kind of like in Chicago too.
Yeah. And I so those were the 2 short form shows I saw, and they were shitty. And I was like, fuck long form, I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, fuck long form, short form.
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
so much more sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I came out to IO West and saw like the cream of the crop of Bob Dassey, Craig Kukowski, Adrian Wenner, Scott Adz, and I'm like, what the fuck?
When it's
amazing.
good, there's less of a margin of error in short form. And like if you did short form for a year straight and long form for a year straight and just really flex those muscles, after that year of short form, you're as good as you'll ever be,
right? And
you're amazing. You are a pro. Like, it's so much fun. It's great.
Your questions only is on point.
Yeah. You take that back. It's
ABC's got.
Oh my God! Down. Are you kidding me? You're Foursquare. Get out of here. But with you can do long form for a year, and you could be at 1/100th of your growth potential. There's just so many more places you can go, and there's just more depth to long form.
Yeah, for sure.
But they're both great.
I think it's good to know the short form to do long form.
The basic principles of big decisions fast can always help, especially if you're in a little slump of a scene in a long form.
Yeah.
So the basic principles of short form making, like big choices fast.
When did you start doing comedy? Because your brother's 6 years older than you are.
He's 6 years older. I started my sophomore year in college with a group called Charred Goose Beak.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like...
No, I don't know.
You're not familiar with Charred Goose Beak? Actually, their Charred Goose Beak became Broken Lizard. It's those guys.
Oh, no kidding. Okay,
yeah,
that is
they
a
went
real
to Colgate.
thing. I do know.
Yeah. It's the Super Troopers. And, and at Colgate, Jillian Vigman was also...
I know Jillian.
She was in that group, too. And they did more sketch and stuff. But that, like, history was really cool. And I went to college for archaeology, and
really?
I wanted to be Indiana Jones.
Sure, who doesn't?
As we all do. And the head of that department left, so I was like, I have to, and the department fell apart. It became like mixed with what else did they mixed it with? They combined it with like 2 other social sciences departments, and it just was like me and all football players in classes, like. Because it was like there were easy A classes, a lot of them, and
really?
It wasn't interesting anymore. So I was like, I don't think I'm going to get my degree. It was anthropology is what they combined with.
Okay,
and that was like
that
kind of
still sounds difficult. Why is that the easy?
At Colgate? It was for at least the 4 years I was there. That was kind of like the cakewalk class. Like you would take like history of music or like some of the anthropology classes if you wanted to get an A and not worry about it.
Wow. Okay.
And it just wasn't. Maybe deeper in the department is fine, but I just got a bad taste of it and took a creative writing class and loved it.
No, Ike, your brother was already doing stuff by then, right?
He was already doing stuff, and I would go and watch him. And when I was in 7th grade, he had come back from college, and he was doing IO Chicago, and I remember seeing that, and I had my mind blown of seeing even bad improv when you're in 7th grade and you see this, like you get it, there's just like
it's play.
Yeah, it's play, And it's like, oh, you can be an adult and do this? Like, that's great.
Yeah.
And, I thought my brother was cool. And I was like, oh, he's doing this thing. That's a cool thing. And I would go with my friends to I.O. We were like these like fat 7th and 8th graders. And we would go on like a weeknight and walk to the theater. It was like a safe walk from our place to the I.O. And our parents would let us go, and they let us in the bar. Maybe they shouldn't have because they have an actual bar there. But we'd just go to watch the shows. And I fell in love with it then. And in the back of my head, I was like, this would be really fun to do. And then Ike went on to do Boom Chicago. Mm-hmm. And that further cemented it in my head as like, oh, this can be a thing, because that's like an actual job with health benefits.
Yeah.
So like that's...
In another country.
That's crazy. So, and then when I was in college, he got MadTV, which was like his first really big thing.
Yeah.
And then just seeing like my own brother like making a career in life out of this made it very tangible and like less of an unreachable dream, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I was still a little hesitant my freshman year at college. I was like scared to dip my toe in, and sophomore year I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try out for this group, and I did, and I loved it, and a bunch of my like good friends from college came from that group, and and then by the end of my junior year, I knew I wanted to go into this, and I was going to drop out of college because, like, what's the point? Because I know that no matter what degree I have, it's not going to help. Like, I want to get out performing.
You're studying theater or something like that.
I was, but like I just knew that the theater I could study in Chicago. I wanted to go through those programs as soon as possible. Like, I want to go through those as a 21-year-old, and Ike left college after a year, and he got Boom Chicago like 21 or something. So I was like,
you were thinking that.
I was like, let's get these muscles like strong and flexed, and I remember calling him and being like, I think I'm gonna stop, and he was like, you're a moron. Do not drop out of college. You have 3 years, one more year. It's a good college, and I'm really glad I did. I'm glad I stayed.
Oh, you stayed? Okay.
Yeah, I did stay. I stayed and got my degree, and then came back to Chicago and did all the 3, like I.O., Second City, and Annoyance. Did them all at the same time.
It'd be great if after you at your graduation, he goes, I can't believe you finished. You should have dropped out.
Idiot. I was just saying that I had to say that.
You'd be on Saturday Night Live by now.
Be crushing.
That's so funny. Yeah, so you did all the theaters in Chicago.
Did all the theaters in Chicago. Had a blast. I mean,
What year is that? When
2005 is when I finished all the classes by 2006, and then was performing at all those places in 2006.
And I probably met you around 2008. That's when I moved out there.
I think that's right about then, yeah.
I started doing Annoyance in Second City and I.O. stuff there.
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
Did you love Chicago? Do you miss it?
Yeah, I do miss it. I mean,
Me too.
My parents are out of it now too. Like they just bought they didn't just buy. When we were younger, they bought a farm in Ohio, and they've like retired there now. So they've sold our place in Chicago a couple of years ago, and so there's no like home there now, which is a bummer. But all my like high school friends are still there, and God, whenever I go back, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's
Did you see the?
great city.
Have you seen? You must have seen the new the I.O. space where it used to be in Wrigleyville. Have you seen it?
It's crazy. I went back for Cubs playoffs like 2 years ago or last year.
There's nothing. It's just a side of a building.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't even know what the building is.
And it's a hotel, I think.
Is it a hotel?
I think it's a hotel.
It's just a big.
Yeah, it's part of that like big like mega complex hotel. That's crazy because when I came back, that's such an iconic corner, Clark and Addison, of like when I think of my youth in Chicago, it's that corner.
Yeah.
And it's totally different now. It's beautiful and it looks great. It's so different. And there's like downsides where you miss like the smaller stores and the smaller bars that are around there, but they've been replaced by these like mega structures. Mm-hmm. But there's also upsides where it's like there's not like hundreds of people vomiting, stumbling down the street drunk. Like that was like, because I was, Wrigleyville is, I think it was the most bars per capita. It's still there, just further down on Clark now.
Yeah.
But before they redid all that, I think Wrigleyville is the most bars per capita for like a 2-block radius.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
It's just every other store is a bar.
It's a bar, yeah. And even the stores, they would sell you drinks.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, what's wrong with you, Chicago? Were you? Did Ike give you like advice when you were besides the stay in school thing?
Yeah, he did. I had like a false start moving out here in 2007. So I'd done Chicago, done all the programs, and was performing in the stages. And not at Second City. I just went through their conservatory, but at Annoyance and I was performing, and I was all ready to move out, and I'd saved up enough money, but then I got into the school at Steppenwolf for their conservatory program.
Great school. Wow.
It's
a big deal.
I didn't think they were. I thought I had a 0% chance of getting in. It was all like very great actors and people who are like true theater. Yeah.
John Malkovich, Lori Metcalf.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Tracy Letts. That summer actually was when August Osage County, which they made into a movie, which kind of blew him up. That's when that came out. They picked like 24 people a year from around the country, and I was like, no way.
Right.
And I got in, and you are there from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, and then you have 3 hours of take-home work, and then there's scene study afterwards. So you can't have a job, like a night job, even during it.
Right.
And
what are you doing all day? Just
it's a lot of short form. No, I'm kidding. It's a lot of take that back.
Zip zap
It's a lot of zip zap zop. It's 4 hours of zip zap zop.
That's why Lori Metcalf is so good.
They call her the queen of zip zap zop.
She's really fucking good at it.
It's broken up into different like segments. There's an improvisation segment, which is different improvisation than we would come up with.
So it's just different acting classes.
Yeah, there's a scene study. There's a you have like these amazing teachers. There's a
speech,
movement,
right,
speech, Feldenkrais, which is like weird slow movement thing.
Okay. What's it called?
Feldenkrais. It's this doctor. It's almost like Tai Chi if you were lying on your back, and it's to it's pretty cool actually. It's to like rediscover parts of your body that you've like maybe let go dormant. Like if you're, right eye dominant, it teaches you to like focus more on your left eye, or if you smile and a certain part of your lip raises when you smile, it'll teach you to, hey, you can still use that, like you can smile the opposite way, and it's all about like small muscle movements.
So it makes you insecure.
Makes you insecure.
Yeah.
Makes you insecure about the choices you've made. But it really is cool. It unlocks, if you always walk a certain way, or you have 25 years, because I was 25 when I took it, of learned behavior, you can make small adjustments. So when you play a character, on stage or on screen, it's like that person doesn't have to walk how you walk. That person can walk, they can be a shoulder walker, or just it's little adjustments like that, just to get in touch with your body, and it's cool.
Yeah, wow. But you do that for 10 hours a day.
You do it for 10 hours a day. You do Feldenkrais for 10 hours a day.
5 days a week.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I couldn't move out to LA because the tuition took my money, and I couldn't have a job. So.
And is this like a 2-year program or 1 year? Or what is it?
It's just for a summer. It's
just for a summer, okay.
Yeah, it's from June all the way through August, and there's a big performance at the end of like scenes that you've worked on. And while that was amazing, it also by the end of it, I had no money to move out to LA with.
Right.
So I was like, I got to save again, and did that. Saved up for another year, and then a year and a half, and finally pulled the plug and came out here with 2 buddies, and yeah.
Did you think about staying there for Steppenwolf? Because now you had your foot in the door. That's a big theater.
I did, but I really wanted to. This is like also 2009, so YouTube had been around for a couple years.
U2 or YouTube?
YouTube. U2, the band U2, it's a big influence in my life.
Well, they've been around a lot longer than a couple years.
No, they were formed in 2003. YouTube had only been around for a few years, and I was with a group. We were making like short comedy videos in Chicago. This group called Sad on Vacation, which is like 9 of us, and we've all gone on to, not all, but like it's crazy. Like it's 9 of the funniest people I know, and I was really excited about working in front of a camera, like TV and film.
Right.
So Steppenwolf was really appealing, but I feel like more than anything, they gave me the tools I needed to everything that I couldn't learn at I.O. and Annoyance. They gave me a different skill set. I'm like, okay, now I feel really ready to make this move. And the advice Ike gave me was, I remember, I was like a month out, and he was like, all right, this is great. The one thing you have to make sure is if you are in. Like, are you in and are you ready to do it? I was like, yeah. He's like, are you really in? I was like, yeah. And then I got what he was saying.
You have to convince him
to
move out.
He was just being like, you know.
Is he a protective brother?
Protective older brother.
He's
Like,
being protective.
It's crazy out here. Know that if you, he also knows, like, I'm very, like, I'm a very determined person, and I want things to go right because I put work into things and I want them to work. And he was essentially his tip of the hat of saying, you can do everything right and still have nothing happen coming out here. So, So make sure if you are in that you're doing this because you want to do it, and it's not going to be like 6 months. There's nothing. I'm out of here. You know.
Yeah.
So it would go as good. I took a step back. I was like, I am, and this is what I want to do. There's nothing else that is as interesting to me as doing this right now. And yeah, made the plunge. Made the plunge out
archaeology.
Here. Sorry, archaeology. Guess we'll have to find those ruins later. Whatever, they haven't been found for. That was in my mind too.
Still be there.
In my mind, archaeology was like, you get your degree and you're immediately on like a dig in Iran. You're discovering like ancient secrets, but in reality, you're just like at a desk all day, and you're like once in a lifetime you get to go on a dig maybe, and if you do, like you don't find anything.
Yeah. You're not Sam Neill and Jurassic Park.
That's not how it works. You're not Sam Neill.
Did you hear about the dinosaur that they just found?
The biggest one?
Yeah, ever.
The biggest one ever. Yeah, apparently. It's huge.
18,000 pounds or something crazy like that.
The picture they showed of it. Did you see the picture?
No.
It's weird. They show a picture of it and it's like, okay, it looks cool. But there's like it's very strange. I tweeted it out. There's a smaller dinosaur in the picture that looks like it's smelling the bigger dinosaur's butt. It's right behind it, and
it's like its pet.
Yeah, it looks like there's a raptor like smelling its butt. And it's like very tiny compared to it. I was like, we didn't have to have that other dinosaur.
Maybe that's a joke.
I don't know.
The picture thing, I don't know.
I guess so.
Well, so what does it look like? Does it look like
it
T-Rex
looks like
or something?
No, it looks more like a brontosaurus. It's
okay.
like it looks like a fat brontosaurus, like a brontosaurus with a weight issue. That's what it looks like.
Oh,
yeah.
Don't they already have?
They do. I know.
Already.
It's big. It's a big diabetes in the brontosaurus community. It's no joke.
It's a Louis Anderson of dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Louis. You need to be taken down a peg. Wow. Okay, so now you're having successes. You're on Superstore.
Yeah.
You've done a bunch of seasons of Superstore.
Yeah, we're at season 4 now, and yeah, it's a great, really fun show to work with. Really fun people.
I mean, the cast is awesome. I know Colton Dunn and Irene White's been on it.
Yeah, they hire improvisers. They hire people in comedy, and you know what I love about that show is they go for jokes. You know, like hard, good jokes. Like the writing's so great in that show. Justin Spitzer is he really knows how to put together a show. He came from The Office, and it was one of my favorite shows. And,
yeah, me too.
I don't know. There's sometimes like you can turn on network TV and especially sitcoms, and you know there's that cringeworthy factor where
you mean Big Bang Theory?
Yeah,
type of show.
yeah, and like I don't want
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah,
they need to be taken down.
They do need to be taken down. But like there's stuff that's like tough to watch, and Superstore reminds me a lot of 30 Rock in that every third line is a clear joke, and I love it. I just love the pace of that show.
Yeah,
yeah,
me too. I love that stuff. You did some writing. You wrote for like some MadTV episodes.
Yeah,
right? And,
I wrote for the reboot of MadTV.
Reboot of MadTV,
2016.
And were you trying to get on as cast member?
Yeah, I actually auditioned for cast and went for the final test with. I want to say there's like 9 of us in the cast, and 11 of us went for the final test. And the audition process was crazy because they had no money, and it was on CW, which is like a very weird fit for MadTV. Like it's like
from Fox to CW.
From Fox to CW, yeah. And like no knock on CW, like their audience is, you know, that's their shows, you know. But like MadTV is a very strange fit for that network, and so like the audition process was very weird. Of like different variants producers from like, the network level and the studio level, all like not knowing really what they wanted from the show. And but I went for the final test of it, and we all tested, and we all were in this like conference room. We felt great. I remember the casting director was like, "Hey, 11 for 11, you guys all killed it. They're gonna take like all of you, or they're just gonna pass on this cast." And I was like, went home. I was like, so happy. It was like my wife was like, "Oh, this is great." And I knew I wanted to write on the show too, but that they were gonna fill that out later. I started seeing like tweets from all the people who were auditioned with, like, very blessed to be on MadTV, the reboot. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's weird. I'm sure my call's coming. I called my reps. My reps were like, we're on it. We're trying to figure out what's going on, which is like never a good sign when you hear that.
No.
And then they took 9 out of the 11 people. And
oh no.
Yeah, and like,
so did you and the other person just go get drinks? And just
we started our own comedy show. No one watched it.
It's Rob Belushi.
It was me and Rob Belushi, and now we play colleges. I got why they did it, and I'm actually glad they did it. Is they already had there was 2 handsome white guys who auditioned for it, and it went to. They didn't want to have 2 handsome white guys in the show. They wanted to diversify.
Remember the old days? You could have as many handsome white guys as you want.
That was my first improv group. It was called Handsome White Guys.
That's your next 5 improv groups.
Variations of that name.
Those were the good old days. Well, that's too bad. Did you ever audition for SNL or anything?
I sent out a few tapes and never like auditioned for it hard, but like in person. But the the audition process still was really fun, and the cast they got was a really talented cast. And I met with the guy who was going to run the room, Scott King, he's the showrunner. He wrote on The Old Man. He's the showrunner for Difficult People, and really great guy, really smart and funny guy. And met with him to write in that MadTV room, and immediately I was like, I want this. Like, this is the job I want. And he hired me, and the show only lasted 1 summer. There were definitely problems with it, but that writer's room, there's nothing more fun than writing sketch for an entire summer.
Yeah.
And we spent our summer writing stupid sketches. And
is it like a group?
Yeah. I mean, you'd write your own, and then you'd read it in the room. Like,
there
was like 10 writers in the room, and just like really, really cool writers. Some from the old MadTV generation who came back. Carol Leifer, who is Elaine from Seinfeld, essentially, like her characters. Yeah. She was in the room, which is like crazy to have Carol Leifer like reading your sketches. And,
wow, she was writing on the show.
Yeah, she was. She took a job writing the show, and yeah, like it was really great. We didn't get to make 90% of like the stuff we wanted to, just because it was so weird. This is in 2016, and CW wouldn't let us go after Trump. This is before he became the candidate that July. And we started writing in June, and we were just going after Trump.
They didn't want to be political?
Didn't want to be. They're like, we're equal opportunity offenders, which was also bullshit, because they weren't. They just, like, we'd like write some sketches goofy on Hillary, whatever, but like, but really, it was just like, let's take this guy. We're going to enter a golden age here, and you have a sketch show that is in the writer's room right now. Like,
yeah.
This is your only chance to ever like get ahead of SNL, because I mean, like, because we're going to start airing before that, and not that it would ever be nearly as
Alec
good.
Baldwin was going to be Trump in September.
Yeah, exactly. So like, we're writing in June. Like, we're going to be on the air in August, and we wrote such great sketches, and then they'd be like, the notes would just be crazy. Like, well, we can't even do a Trump sketch. So what if instead of Trump, it's Simon Cowell? Like, what?
Is he running for president?
Dude, what the fuck? This is so crazy.
What?
Yeah.
That's annoying. But you can make fun of Hillary.
We could. Look, but like there wasn't just like enough to like. Hillary's just like. I mean, there's no jokes that haven't been done because she's been in the public eye for so long. And at a political level, Trump was like new. You know, it was this new thing, and we all saw what was happening, and then he was named the candidate a month into the writers' room, and we had such a funny. There's one sketch that we filmed, actually. The other ones they didn't even let us film. This one, Scott King fought for it, and like we got to film, and is a sketch I wrote with my buddy, and it was called 1-900 Hot Trumps, and it was you remember those like old in like the 90s, like those late night commercials, like 1-900 like steam girls.
That was my whole 90s.
That was it.
That's how I got through the 90s.
They were just like these cheesy, like, adult phone lines. We were a sketch called 1-900 Hot Trumps, and it was shot in the same way with those like, cloudy vids, and it was, we had a Melania, we had an Ivana and an Ivanka, and Mo Collins came on to play Ivana, and two of the cast members were the other two, and it was such a funny sketch, and like saw a cut of it, and we were like crying laughing, and it was not about making fun of them, it was them making fun of Trump. Like that was the crux of the sketch, was just this chat line where you could call them, but instead of like talking with them about like sexual things, they would tell you how bad Trump was and how he's poisoned all their lives. It was just like, it was a really funny sketch. And it was about to air, and the head of CW called our showrunner, was like, so he saw the final mix, he's like, take this out of the mix. Like, well, then we're going to have a dead, 2.5 minutes. The mix is, we're locked. He's like, either you take this out, or for the entire block of your show, you're going to have just like a rerun of whatever, like Riverdale or something like that. And
that's fucking weird.
Is
the guy like a Trump supporter?
I don't think so. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean,
Sounds.
I definitely made verbal accusations of that. I'm like, he fucking loves Trump. Like, fuck this guy.
But like red hat.
But I don't know. I think he was just more scared. Everyone's scared. Everyone.
Do you think that's why the show got canceled after one? They're like, oh, it's too political. It's too edgy for CW or something.
I think the show got canceled because no one watched it.
Okay.
Like I think it just didn't get the numbers. But I think no one watched it because we had actually good numbers the first week, and then people were like, we didn't go anywhere. Like we weren't going after, like, MadTV. The ultimate MadTV was great. So it was big characters, and they would go after things.
Yeah.
This just wouldn't do it. It felt more like.
Well, MadTV. I mean, Mad Magazine itself. Is a thing that goes after people.
Absolutely.
It's very political.
Absolutely. So it seemed like, why wouldn't you have this be, a similar mouthpiece where we can do that? And it was a studio and a network who thought the shows should be different things, which they're all entitled to their own opinions. And then a showrunner who is kind of, at the mercy of that. Like, he's trying to put the best show forward, but you're getting all these mixed signals. So it was a bit of a mess, but
those guys should have just handed out Mad magazines. Yeah. The head guys.
I know.
Just read it.
This is what this is.
This is what this is. Just take a look at it.
Yeah.
Just take a look. Look, Trump's in there.
Yeah.
He's getting made fun of.
And then
he's a big dick.
And people read it.
People read it. They think it's funny.
Yeah. So it was a missed opportunity, which is a bummer, but the project itself was so much fun to work with, and all the people involved were really, really so talented.
I guess because now DC Comics, which is owned by Warner Brothers, owns Mad Magazine now. And I guess that's why it switched over to CW.
Oh, yeah.
CW is run by Warner Brothers, basically.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because I'm like, why did it switch from Fox? But that must be why.
Yeah. Well, also, it was the producer that had the rights to it has a shopping agreement. I think he can take it to anywhere. Because I think it's separate from the magazine now. I think
the show's separate from the magazine.
I think it is. I think whatever deal whenever the last one folded, the last MadTV, I think because I know he's still taking this out to Amazon and he's trying to sell this sketch show again.
Oh, he is?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. He's there. Him.
Hey, you could audition again.
Yeah, there you go. Love to go through that process. John, we don't know what's happening. We're trying to find out. We're on it.
You could be like, look, man, we have a filmed Trump bit that'll fucking kill. If we show it again.
It would still kill. It would still work.
It would still work.
Yeah, it's crazy. It would all still work.
I'd love to see that. That's too bad they can't put that on YouTube or something.
I know. Yeah, I wish they could. Maybe I never even thought of that. Maybe I should text the guys who had the video to fucking put it on YouTube.
Text them right now.
I will.
When you were auditioning for Mad, do you think oh wow, my brother was on Mad TV? Did you think it was like a rite of passage almost? Like, all right, my turn.
No. it was weird because I never even thought Mad would come back. And if anything, it was more the producers who were still involved and the new producers who came onto it. I actually knew a couple of them, and if let's say it wasn't MadTV, it was just called like Ha Ha Sketch Show. I would be excited to audition for it because that's a good title, right?
Yeah.
We should make that show. Me and Rob Belushi are available.
I'll do it. I'll help out.
But like, I was excited to audition because of these new people who were on, and they'd come and seen my shows and were excited to have me audition. So it just happened to also be MadTV, you know, like that. Like, so that was the extra connection with Ike. But if anything, I was a bit nervous that had it all gone through and I was on, it'd be like, oh, well, those are big shoes to fill. And that's, you know, you may get into the door easier, but everyone's looking at you more once you're in the door.
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, I mean, you mentioned Rob Belushi.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah. The Belushi name.
Yeah.
His dad is Jim Belushi.
His dad is Jim.
His
Yes.
uncle is John Belushi. I mean,
yes.
Those are, I mean, do you guys relate on that level? Do you ever talk about that sometimes?
Absolutely. I think it's, at least when we were coming up to Chicago, I mean, Ike was very well known amongst the IO scene, the improv scene.
Sure. Pictures in IO theater.
Yeah, he got a picture up on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Multiple.
Smarmy.
So like that, I definitely felt that. I never felt that an annoyance. I felt at IO though when I was there. There'd be some of the people who were left over from the days where Ike was there who maybe hadn't moved on yet, and some of them were sweethearts and were so great to me, and some like gave me a little bit hard of a time and a little tougher on me. And I know, so I had that feeling of, oh, eyes are more turned on to you, like not necessarily judging, but being like, okay, let's see here. I guess that's judging what I just said.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you got?
All right.
So judging.
Is that Noah Gregoropoulos?
Noah was great. Noah was one of the sweet ones. But there was a teacher once who called out in front of a class. It was so embarrassing. Like, it was at end of level 4, and that's when you're about to go on teams, and the teacher was telling the students, and I was in this class. She was like, and I like this teacher, but it made me feel really uncomfortable. He was like, you're going to get put on a team or you're not. It's out of your control at this point. Just know that the work you did is why you're here. And you may be really talented not getting a team because a slot has to go to Jon Barinholtz. Which is like, not true. Like, I also didn't make a team my first time out of the gate. So it's like, it was not true. And it was like, just kind of like,
that was a dick.
I was like, and now like, these are my friends in my class, and now they feel, it was just weird.
Yeah.
I didn't like that move.
Who is it?
I don't want to say. I don't want to say.
Tell me off mic.
I feel but
Del Close.
It was Del Close. It was the ghost of Del Close. An ashtray came to life. And,
God damn it, Del.
And I know Rob felt that for sure because he was at Second City.
Yeah, jeez.
And he was on, the Bizco and Tourco stuff with them. So we definitely did like kind of commiserate over that feeling,
sure.
But a much, much bigger scale for, I mean, his uncle was literally the face of comedy for I mean, he's on every college kid's wall, Yeah. And then I think that's, but I think he's, he still like cherishes the fact that was his uncle. And I think he maybe runs a little bit from the fact that his dad is Jim.
Yeah.
We worked at Jim for a while, and yeah.
You worked with him? What do you mean?
We went on tour doing short form for like about a year. Rob and I always had this thing. We brought Jim in for one of our gigs, and Jim was like, "This is great. We make a business out of this," and we did. We put like a little company together and toured the country, and it was great for a month. It was so much fun, and then it became really. We brought in like other friends, like Brad Morris came in, and
Brad Morris.
Jim brought in like Larry Joe Campbell, and Josh Funk came in, and
great people.
Yeah, and and Megan Grano. It was really fun for like a month, and then it became
work.
It became work, and like I have no.
It became archaeology.
It became archaeology post the head of the department leaving. it was just really rough. Jim's a really rough guy, and I don't really have a problem saying this, just because I think people that treat people horribly should be called out. And it was rough. It was rough working with him, and for me, it was just a boss who was a dickhead. But for Rob, it was that plus his dad,
right?
And so much so that like after a scene, we'd come backstage and Jim would like call Rob out on his like choices in the improv games and be like, "You can't do that. You can't front load scene." Like Jim also doesn't know how to improvise. So it was like the whole show's about protecting him, and like feeding him lines. Like so it was, and Rob's such a great improviser. So it was just it was a really rough thing. It's like, if you're ever like around a couple or something and they start like bickering in front of you, and like you and your friends are like, ugh.
Yeah.
It was that feeling for the rest of the year that we toured, and
you did it for a year?
They're still touring, that group. Oh, Rob and I exited.
Oh.
It was like Jim had this weird thing where he fired Rob, and then Rob was like, fuck off, man. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm done. And then came to me as like, I know you guys are partners, but I want you to stay on. And it's like a very weird manipulative thing. And I said no. And then he's like, well, why don't you come back and you guys can be alternates and like switch off shows. We said no to that. And he was like, why don't you come back? You can both be on, but you'll split your fee because you're a writing team. I was like, no.
He's like getting worse.
Yeah.
He's a terrible negotiator.
Crazy. And like, his leverage was employment and money.
Why don't you come back? You wash my feet. You cook my meals.
You have to watch me shit. Like, oh no, this is even worse.
What?
This is bad. This is going horribly.
I'll chop off your head.
Oh God, I can't improvise then. So it became a thing of wasn't worth it anymore, and on literally the month we left, we were bummed because we were like, God, it was good, easy money for weekends, and we're at the time young men trying to build lives for ourselves.
Sure.
And marriage for me was on the horizon. He was already married. We were trying to Rob wasn't married yet. That was on the horizon for him too. And so that was a bummer to not have that income. But after a month, we were like, oh my God, we feel so clean and good, and it's great. And we both started getting work. When one source goes away, something else pops up. So
that's so funny. So where would you guys perform that show?
Oh God,
schools and stuff.
No, we didn't do colleges. We did like everywhere from comedy clubs, like the improvs. Mm-hmm. We'd do those to like performing arts centers, to corporate gigs, to toured the country. Went to Hawaii. That was fun. Like we got to go to some cool places.
Yeah.
But
and you and Rob brought on all these other people.
Yes.
And then they stayed.
Yes, and they there's that. That was everyone's got to do their thing. Well, Brad Morris wound up exiting.
Okay.
And kind of in solidarity, but they all hung on.
Does Rob get along better with his dad now?
They haven't talked since the way we left was a very bad way. And why I say we, I left in a fine way. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. The way him and his dad ended it was rough, But I wish he was here because he's so great at perspective on these things and talking about it. Rob's very zen and really has a good head in his shoulders. Very healthy psychologically, I guess. Like he's good at processing things, and especially this. And it's tough because I think in this relationship he had to be the parent, and so I think they've reached out, or Jim's reached out to him a few times. And Rob's they've met up a couple times, but outside of that, they really don't talk. And
wow,
yeah,
too bad. It's been a couple of years, I guess.
It's been a couple of years, yeah. And look.
That could change, though.
That can change. The timeline is very long, and life is too short. Where I hope a day where they can like fully reconcile and have like a good relationship again.
As long as neither of them voted for Trump, I feel like you get along.
Yeah, and I know Rob didn't. I can say that for a fact because we campaigned for Hillary together in Ohio, but I can't speak for his dad.
No.
I'm always like,
Well, speaking of that, I mean, the Oath I saw last weekend, which I greatly enjoyed.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure I put you through the ringer of auditioning.
It was like the MadTV process. My reps had to call him.
But he also told me when he was here. He
He did a couple of
and he told me that for the most part, your family did not vote Trump, and the movie is basically about. Not Trump per se. Trump is not mentioned at all, but it's a president that wants people to sign a loyalty oath.
Yes. Hopefully people can make the connection.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like my family, almost everybody voted for Trump.
Oh my gosh. Oh God bless you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for you.
So it's been a lot of processing for me the last couple of years. That and other things on top of that, but I'm going to do. It's funny that I'm doing Thanksgiving with my family for the first time in a few years.
Oh wow!
This Thanksgiving.
Oh my God!
But I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Are you going in solo?
Yeah, my girlfriend can't go.
Okay.
Which I wish she could, but.
It'd be good if she could. It could also be better that she can't too. You know, like
it'll be better for her.
Yeah, I was thinking for her.
She'll be fine out here.
She can't go. She doesn't want to deal with the insanity.
So I mean, Ike said that the idea for the movie came when he was actually having Thanksgiving and arguing with the family.
Yes.
Is that true? Were you there for that?
Yes, I was there. And specifically it was him, myself, and our mom. And we are all aligned politically. And, but this election, I think, you remember it, like, everyone was rattled. And when we get rattled, we look for reasons, right? Because we want to explain things. And sometimes we're not able to, especially right away. Sometimes you don't know that there is a Russian conspiracy that was 20 years deep. No, but like we were all sitting around. Like there's a big Thanksgiving every year, and it dwindled down to just the nuclear family, and we were just talking about it, how crazy it was, and we were, a good bottle of wine deep each.
Gotcha.
And we were all arguing. It wasn't like "fuck you," but it was like
"Happy Thanksgiving, motherfuckers."
Yeah. It wasn't that bad, but it was like it was. We're a very cool, copacetic family. We're a very cool, copacetic family. That's my new improv team name. No, but we get along, and like normal family annoyances, but like. Usually, especially when we're talking about things, like we hear each other out. But this is a lot of like cutting off and
even though you're all kind of on the same side.
Yes, and like that was the crazy thing. Like we're all on the same side, but we were like blaming different reasons. And very early on, I liked Bernie Sanders as a candidate. Like very early on, liked a lot of the things he was saying. And then as it got closer, it was before he officially didn't get the nomination, and it was like maybe a month before that. I was like, Hillary's going to be the path forward, and I was happy with both candidates. I just preferred Bernie.
Sure.
Hillary got the nomination. I went to work for her happily. Was like gave her a month of my life. Like very happy, and but in this specific Thanksgiving dinner conversation or post dinner, I was like, Bernie would have won. Is like what was kind of my thing, or maybe not would have won, but Hillary could have moved a little bit further to the left, in my opinion. And my mom was arguing a different point about her attention to certain states. Ike was arguing something totally different, but all saying why our person didn't win, why Hillary didn't win, and we were at each other's throats a little bit. And I think Ike had that moment of, shit, if we're at each other's throats, what's it like in the rest of the country where people didn't vote for the same person?
Yeah.
And this has to be a horrible feeling and a horrible experience. And I think the movie was just in his head.
Yeah. Mostly in places like that, they just probably try not to talk about it.
Yes. Which my mom's whole side from Ohio, and they will not talk about things, and they all voted for Trump.
Yeah.
With the exception of a couple like cool progressive cousins. But over Christmas that year, so we had our own blow up at Thanksgiving. At Christmas that year, they never talk. I mean, they never talk about things. These are nice Ohio folk,
right.
like farm folk. And my mom and one of her siblings are like liberal and voted for Hillary. And my mom like brought it up, and it went from like nice, calm to these siblings now like really don't talk to each other, and it's like it's fractured and it's crazy. Yeah. It's really crazy. And we're screening the movie in Ohio, in our hometown or the town where the farm is, on this coming Wednesday. And Ike and I will be there, and all my cousins that side's coming. Really? And I'm really happy that they're going to see it. And
will there be like a Q&A after?
Yep, there will be. Wow. And I, to be honest, like the politics of the movie, I don't think we'll bump them, because I honestly, like, they're not like stupid people. I think they will be able to see Ike's character in the movie, who's this, uber liberal, as the most annoying person in the movie, right? Like you watch and you're like, this guy's fucking annoying, even though I kind of agree with him. He's
and not exactly an open-minded person.
Exactly. Like doing the same thing, So I think they will be able to recognize that and not think it's a skewering of the right, which it really isn't. It's a skewering of what this crazy administration has done to us in our psyche. I think they'll be more offended by the language and the violence, to be honest. Like they're like they don't swear. Like conversations will end if you swear, and the violence is very tough for them. Like the riskiest movie I think they've ever watched is Armageddon.
Well, it's the end of the world.
It is the end of the world. It is the end of the world. Yeah. But yeah, we're screening it there, and I'm excited to see that reaction.
Yeah,
and
I'm excited too. I wish I could go.
Hopefully, mend some fences, and I don't know. We'll see.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Fucking Trump.
I know, man.
Isn't it crazy?
It really is. It really is, EJ. We are all a symptom of. We all have these broken brains now because there's so much information coming out so quickly that we can't adjust. But we want to make decisions, right? So, like, when you hear a news story, you hear someone come at you about something, it is human instinct for survival purposes to put in the category of good or bad, but there's so many gradations to that, and we can't unpack all this stuff. But before we unpack that, another story comes out or something else that we have to decide on. So this first thing that came on, we put in the category of good or bad, and we've done that on an uneven footing. And, 30 more things come in over the next week. And then when that first thing is brought up again in amongst a group of friends, you've made your decision, but you don't really know why. But you defend, like, that's where there's this like vitriol of like, we're all making choices on uneven ground without like fully unpacking things. And I think it's making all this crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really there's tough. So many elements to it. I mean, if Trump just didn't tweet, that would cut half of it off probably, because he just tweets 20 times a day, and it's all crazy, and it becomes news.
Yeah.
And he's awful.
It's awful. Yeah.
He doesn't know how to be civil in the least bit.
No.
He just had like a new thing where he what was it? He condoned a violent act or something. Somebody
the body slamming.
Body slam. Yeah. Right. That guy that body slammed.
Gianforte, or whatever his name is. Yeah. He
which happened a year ago or something.
Yeah.
Right?
He body slammed a reporter.
Yeah. And then Trump's like, "That's my kind of guy,"
which is so crazy. It's so crazy.
Somebody needs to like just explain what a president is to him.
Yeah, and look, he will never change. And I also do believe, like, if Hillary did get elected, she would have been a one-term president, because you see the hate in this country right now. Like, what the press would have done to her in the Fox News machine, she would not have been able to survive that presidency.
Yeah.
So the only like silver lining to Trump getting elected is it's all at the surface now. We see the rot. It is deep, and it's up to us to change it. It's activated more people. I know just amongst my group of friends, there's a tenfold,
interest,
I'm getting involved now.
I'm voting in the midterms for the first time ever.
Yeah,
in November.
Me too.
By the way, my birthday is
it really?
November 6th.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Same. I'd never voted in midterms before.
Yeah.
And I feel like ashamed to have said that.
Me too.
And there's no one taking care of us. We have to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think people are realizing that on both sides, too. I think a lot of people on the right are being activated, which is fine. It's just, hopefully there's more people on the left.
I know.
And all this issue with voter fraud now is very scary. And it feels like if they can't win, it's stolen. And
Putin's like, hey, I got 99% of the votes. Hey, pretty cool. Thanks, everybody. You guys really like me.
Everything's like it's always an A with him. And same with Trump. It's always an A plus.
Yeah.
It's like remember that Simpsons episode where Homer's a food reviewer and everything he tries gets 5 out of 5. It's like 5 spaghetti scoops or something like that. It's the same thing. It's everything's the best. Everything's perfect. Yeah. It's really tough.
Well, you're married.
Yes.
When did you get married?
3 months. It was August 2016, but I like to think of it as 3 months before Trump got elected.
The calm before the storm.
There was something, honestly, that we didn't think of it at the time, but afterwards, there was something calming to us about thinking, like, we got married while Obama was president. And that's like really nice. That's like a nice thing, which like we never would have thought of before.
That's not. Is that like when I see a baby born now? I'm like, oh, it's during Trump.
Yeah.
Born during Trump.
I think that, and I also think when people die now, I'm like, oh, they fucking died with Trump president. Like Aretha Franklin died. I'm like, oh, she had to fucking die with this asshole. She had to go through all this shit in her life and become this amazing like pioneer. And then she dies with this asshole still alive and running the fucking free world. It's so sad to think. That's the saddest to me is thinking people who are dying now who are like fighters and have to see this guy still at the head of the ship. It sucks.
Well, how'd you guys meet?
We met. I moved out here in 2009, right during the financial crash. So you literally couldn't get a job except one place was hiring, and it was that restaurant Mozza. It's in Highland and Melrose.
Yes,
it's like Nancy Silverton's place.
Mario Batali's.
Yes, Battalion Bostonach are the business owners of it, but it's Nancy Silverton is like the partner, and it's her place.
Okay.
All right. And she started like La Brea Bakery, and
Mario has some problems.
Mario's iced out now. He's gone. He's a bad guy, like really bad guy.
Clearly. And a terrible ponytail.
Terrible ponytail. Like, how did he make it? He's walking around with his shoes, his orange shoes, alcoholic's red face. But he was never really involved in this one. This is like Nancy's baby. And I was waiting tables there and working in the kitchen. And my wife, Annika, she is a child psychologist. She does like testing for ADD, ADHD, autism spectrum. She was getting her degree, and it was her last job before she had to open her practice. She was still in grad school. And her aunt is Nancy Silverton. So she was like, oh, I'll take a job being a hostess, just a fun summer job. Like out of career job for her. And we met and, hit it off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was your first date at Mozza?
It was not.
Am I saying that right? Mozza?
Mozza.
I say it right.
Yeah. Our first date was at the Hudson, I think.
What's that?
It's like a bar in Santa Monica.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love at first sight?
Yeah.
Did you have to win her over?
She actually had to win me over. And
hard to get. I like it.
And I don't say that as like, she had to win me over. It was, when she started working there, she got hired and I was like, oh, this beautiful girl's my coworker now. And she's like, she has like an air about her, like when you fall in love, it. But I was in a relationship at the time.
Oh.
Or should I say the tail end of a relationship?
No, you're still in it.
Yeah, I'm still in it. Oh my God, if she finds out I'm married, she's going to kill me. It was one of those things where it wasn't really going anywhere. And we had some like false start breakups, like where it's like, how you try to break up and it doesn't really happen. Like you leave the conversation like, well, are we broken up or not? And it was the tail end of that. And I met Annika and we became friends, and I wouldn't flip that switch in my head of I'm going to pursue this girl, because I was like I really did like her as a person, Annika, and I knew she was into me, and I also didn't want to like toy with her, like being in a relationship, and so it was a very like weird like high wire act to balance that. I also knew if there's going to be a future with this person, my relationship can't start off with me like being flirty and shitty to her, because what will she think if we ever do have a future? I like went there in my head, like if we ever have a future, she'll be like, oh, it started like, what if I become the girlfriend that he's with now? And
well, if you're thinking that, you're like, oh wow, I have feelings for this girl.
Exactly.
Right.
So it was like it was tough. It was very tough, and I wouldn't give her any signs or anything. And she talks about it now, like, what the hell, man? and she's like, I wouldn't have cared if you just would have like left your girlfriend. Like, I knew I wanted to be with you. And it's like, yeah, but I wound up breaking up with my girlfriend and waited a whole solid week before telling Annika, like,
you mourned the relationship.
Mourned the relationship. Gave the standard 1 week post tragedy. No, but Annika said to me, she said, I can't continue to be with you. I can't continue to hang out with you. It's like, I'd like to be your friend, but it's just, I have feelings for you. And she like revealed that to me, even though I had heard her say it to like other people. Like she has a very loud voice. So I literally heard it in the restaurant. And like right when she said that, I was like, well, what if I told you I don't have a girlfriend anymore? And she was like, what?
Surprise!
And surprise! And I was at the Hudson and we kissed, and then we got married.
That's it's just right there.
Right there, we got married at the Hudson.
How long were you dating before you got married?
We dated for a while. We dated until about 3.5 years, and then then we were engaged for a year.
On top of that?
Yeah.
So 4.5 years.
4.5 years, and we got married, and yeah.
How'd you pop the question?
I just I text her. No, I was
a dick pic.
I sent her a dick pic with a question mark.
Are you married?
And she sent back a thumbs down sign, which is weird.
It's got a cock ring on it.
But I just asked her at her house. It's the house we're in right now, and just asked her on her porch. We were like hanging out in Sunset one night. And she always wants to hang on the porch. I never do because there's like spiders out there and stuff. So, but it's her dream is to sit in the porch and like watch the street, and it's like a residential, pretty street. And this one night I was like, hey, let's go sit in the porch. And she was like, what? Like, so she was just excited to be on the porch.
Breaking up with me?
Yeah, I know. She something's happening.
Do you have cancer?
But I got down on me and I asked her, and she like just like hid her face and didn't say anything. And at the time we had this roommate who lived with us. We were renting out a room in our house. Do you know Steve Fleming?
That sounds familiar.
He's Kevin Fleming's brother, and he's a buddy of mine from Chicago.
I probably met somebody.
He's just like this, like, bachelor. He lived in the back room of our house, and he was home, and I was like down on one knee, and she was like, "Oh," I was like, "Just please give an answer one way or the other before Steve comes out." And this like single dude like being like, "Hey, what's going on?"
He's on his boxers.
Yeah, seriously. Like, Steve comes out in his underwear eating cereal. Like, oh, cool, marriage proposal.
Sweet. But that's sweet. So she said yes, obviously.
She said yes.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Aw,
yeah.
You guys are so cute.
She's a sweetie.
Did you plan it for a while? Or was it spur of the moment? Or?
I had the ring for, I knew I'm literally like within a month of us dating, I was like, I'm marrying this girl. This is going to be my wife.
Wow.
And the only reason I didn't ask her to marry me sooner is because I wanted to make sure I had steady income to be able to like afford a wedding and support us, like to pull my share. She works too. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't just this like, sitting at home with Steve watching TV while she was going to work. And so it took a while I got the ring about 6 months before I asked her, and then some steady work started coming in, and then I was like, whatever, I could be waiting for 5 years with my business, so I'm just going to ask her. This is what I want to do, and I'm so glad I did.
Good.
Yeah.
Is she your wife in the movie The Oath?
Yes.
Is it basically your
It's based off of her. It's a very rough relationship. No, my wife is also, I guess, looks similar to Meredith. She could look like a Tommy Loren type, but very different. Very, very different than the character that is played. Yeah.
Well, because your character in it, I mean, your wife is way worse than you are.
She is. I think like if the way that we kind of talked and like worked it out is like I probably am pulled to the right in that, like, just by being. My guess is my character is like left out of some social things in college, is like the guy who couldn't get into frat but like loved frat culture, and the guy who wasn't smart enough to go into finance but thought like Wall Street guys were awesome.
So he's rejected a lot. So he went somewhere where he wasn't so rejected.
Yeah. And I think I found her, and she was like the same way, like maybe a mean girl in high school, and then her friends abandoned her because she was so mean, and she found this pocket and found me and pulled me even further to the right, and because I think she's the equivalent of Ike in the movie, and just on the other side.
Right.
And our sister Carrie Brownstein is kind of in the middle of me and Ike, and or in the middle of the two of them. She's like right down the center, and then I'm like to the right of Carrie Brownstein, I would say.
How was it working with Tiffany Haddish? She seems like so much fun.
She's awesome. She's a force of nature. She's so cool. Just like, I know Ike's been saying this, but Ike always thinks he's like the friendliest guy on the set, and then like he worked with Tiffany Haddish. Like, oh no, she is. She's the friendliest person. Everyone loves her. She's so great. She, like, the first week we were shooting, she invited us all to go to DJ Khaled's birthday party at P. Diddy's house.
Oh shit!
We're like, yeah, sure, yeah, we're gonna go to P. Diddy's house. Like,
whoa,
yeah, it was amazing. It was crazy. She took us out with her to this thing.
I mean, there must be 10,000 people at that party.
No joke. It was pretty close.
Right?
Like, you walk to. It was kind of a nightmare because to get to the house you had to park like miles away, and like the shuttles could only fit so many people.
Right.
We got in.
You have to go.
You have to. You wouldn't even go to P. Diddy's house. Yeah, it was crazy and it was fun.
You're an archaeologist, you know. You take the big trips to get there, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. You walk in and you're immediately the least cool person in the world. Like, everyone's like, everyone looks so cool and is dressed nice, and I have my one nice shirt on, and I'm like, But it's cool. Yeah. But she was amazing. She's so good. And in this movie, I'm so excited for people to see this movie. Just see a different look that she hasn't given off before.
Yeah.
She grounds this movie. I mean, she is really the heart, and I don't know, you buy their relationship, you buy him and Ike, or him and her as husband and wife, and she really is like the heart of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does a great job. I love Carrie Brownstein.
Oh my God, so funny. I've always been obsessed with her, and it's weird. She looks like the missing link between me and Ike. Like, she looks like our sibling, and because Ike and
Ike look identical to each other, pretty much.
To
me,
we look like slightly different versions of the same person.
Yeah,
and Carrie looks like the one in the middle.
You look less stoned.
I look less stoned, yeah. Ike has smaller eyes. Yes, I look less stoned.
I guess that's fair. He was telling me, no, he didn't tell me. I heard him on the Stern Show last week. Did you hear him on the Stern Show?
Yeah.
He told that story, which I guess I had heard about a couple years ago, but forgot to ask him about it. I didn't even think of it. Where he got in an accident on set of blockers.
Yeah.
And fucking almost died, it sounds like.
It was crazy. It broke part of his neck. And yeah. Crazy, man.
And I vaguely remember reading an article or something when that happened and going, oh my God. And I think I wrote to him on Twitter or something.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Was that scary for you as a family member?
Yeah. I mean, yes. That shoot also came like at a time where he'd been traveling a bunch for different shoots. And everything about it was like the perfect storm of like bad things. Like, it was the last day. He was excited he was going to be home with his wife and kids again, and it just really wasn't run well the way that it happened. And like, yeah, it was really scary. It was really scary, and luckily, he's all good now, and he healed himself and really made it a point to bring himself back from this. And yeah, it's terrifying, man.
That's scary as fuck.
It's really scary. And it's a thing, too, when you're an actor, when you're on set, like, someone wants you to do something, you just want to be agreeable and do it, and, and, like, whenever there's, like, creepy stuff, if it's, like, sex stuff on set, like, shirts, nudity, whatever, like, that, your bells go off, and you can stand up for yourself more because it's more of a line, like, but, like, with stunt stuff, you assume that it's going to be okay. And
that's necessary.
Yes, right? That's necessary. And that there's like, and that you don't want to be a stick in the mud. You're like, I don't want to hold them up for, time is money. And I don't want to hold them up for an hour while they figure it out. Or,
Well, even Ike said that I think his double or somebody said, yeah, oh, it's fine, it's easy, and you just do this, and he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they just sell it to you in one way, and it doesn't happen like that sometimes.
If I were ever to get a movie or something, I would let my stunt double do everything.
Yeah, even act.
Yeah.
They do everything.
They're doing it right now.
Oh my God, this isn't you. It's amazing. They're doing it right now.
Well, I hope the movie does well.
Me too, man. I hope people go out and see it. And I think I really believe. I think this movie is really amazing, and I think it mirrors the times right now where tonally this movie shifts. Where it's like a funny family funny like dysfunctional family up top, and then it goes to this crazy dark turn, and then the tone keeps going from very scary to like funny to scary to funny to crazy, and that's what it feels like be living in our country right now.
Yeah,
like
absurd.
It's absurd. Like at one point you're like, we may go to nuclear war this afternoon because something a president did, and then 5 minutes later you're like, the president's in a Twitter feud with a porn star, and we may see him defend his dick size on Twitter. Like, and it's like, how are we going to handle like? And
he's already done it.
Exactly.
He did it. It's like my hands are just fire or something like
that.
Yeah,
to when Marco Rubio did it. It's like what are we, and like, are we going to see? I think we're going to see his dick at some point. I'm really bummed about it. Like, I think this video is going to come out, this piss video. And I just think like,
really bummed.
I just think we're going to see our president's dick, and it sucks.
It's probably true.
Yeah, I think it is, man.
What was it like being directed by your brother? I mean, you guys seem pretty close. I mean, that's 6 years. There was a good chunk of distance.
It's good when you don't feel like you're infringing on each other's,
like growing up.
persona.
He was already out of the house.
Yeah,
for a long time.
And we had time together, but we were always like best friends. It was like we'd like beat each other up like siblings. Wrestle with each other. But we always were each other's biggest fans and cheerleaders. Being directed by him was. It was a dream, and I feel like spoiled because, a lot of being directed on set is trust with your director and making sure that what you're doing is looking good. You want it to be good for the project, and you want it to be good for yourself. For to make sure that you are giving a good performance. And I never had a thought that he wouldn't have my best interest and the film's best interest in mind. Like I know he wasn't just there as like a hired gun to come in and do this and leave. This was his passion. This was his baby. Yeah. And we have that shorthand of 35 years of knowing each other where there's trust and there's communication where I know what he was looking for. And if he was asking for something I couldn't get there, I would get frustrated and try to do everything I can and eventually get there. And frustrated myself. Like that was my biggest fear was I think the script is so smart, and I think this is a script that in 5 years from now people will look back on and be like, whoa, this is a movie like we've never seen before. And it almost became reality. Yeah. And hopefully they say almost. Ooh. And I knew what this film was. I knew it was going to look like, and I was so excited to do it. My biggest fear is like, I don't want to fuck up my brother's thing. Like that was I don't want to mess it up. And
it's his dream. You don't want to do a good job.
Yeah. But he did such a good job of like, he knew how I was going to say every line. Like the writing is so great. Like it's written down to the like ums and heys, like stuff that you would normally just throw in and improvise. He wrote such a tight script.
That's interesting for an improviser.
Yeah. I mean, there were moments where he would let it open up and play, but not full scenes, just a couple words here and there. But yeah, really like almost everything you see in that movie, with the exception of like a few lines, was on the page. Yeah.
Well, I'll wrap it up because I know you got to go.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And you mentioned you were going to go look at a house. Is that what you're doing?
No, the house that we're currently living in.
Yeah.
We are transferring to own. So we are getting a loan and stuff now, and we have a call with our banker today to see how we did.
That sounds complicated.
It is complicated.
Does that sound complicated?
It is. It's a tricky situation. The house is in my wife's family, but we're still buying it, and we're doing this thing where we're going to get it gifted. so we don't have the property taxes don't go up.
Right.
And then we have to find out how long we have to wait for that to be an official gift before we take out a loan and then pay them the money for the house, like what it's worth.
Yeah.
So, our banker's either going to tell us you can do it right away, or in 6 months is when you have to apply, and here's what you qualify for, and all that stuff. And,
fun stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have kids? You don't have kids yet.
Trying right now. Yeah.
How's the trying?
In the kid market. Trying's going fantastic. We're having intercourse nightly. That's a whole crazy world too.
And what does she do? She's not an actress, right?
No, she's the clinical child psychologist.
That's right.
She does like testing.
That's a very important job. So
honestly,
she must be a good person.
She's a good person. And I feel so like my bit is she'll like tell me about. She's very good with confidentiality. She doesn't tell me like who she's working with, but she'll tell me about an annoyance of like this parent did this and this. I feel really concerned for this child, and they have this disorder, blah blah. I don't know what to do, and I'll be like, "Honey, I get it, but I did 3 fart takes on Superstore today, and I have to tell you, each one was funnier than the last." It's like I'm doing like she's doing like good work that is good for this like world. I'm just like fucking around on set. Like we couldn't be having like diametrically opposed like days even more. Like it's crazy. She came to set yesterday to visit, and she's always blown away. She's like, it's so unfair how much food you get. Like they just supply you food.
People are starving in Africa.
Yeah, and she's sitting in her crappy office with like a homemade salad. She's a trooper.
Oh, well, she sounds lovely. Hope I get to meet her someday.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm going to give you a blessing, a conception blessing.
Thank you.
So I hope everything goes well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's a male, and it looks like me.
Yeah.
So
thank you very much. You guys can't see this, but he just burned a bunch of sage and covered me in oil.
It'll work.
All right, we'll see.
But go see The Oath. It opens. Now, today is October 19th. I'll put this up in a couple days.
Yes.
But it is open wide now.
We are nationally open this weekend.
Nationally open. So go out to a theater
and see it in a theater, because this is a movie that I know people say this when they promote films like you have to see it in a theater. This really, comedies and thrillers are what plays on the big screen, and this is a comedy and a thriller, and it's cathartic to see this movie, I think.
When I saw it last week, there were other people in the theater, and everybody was laughing and having a good time. So it was nice.
It's a blast. It really is fun.
All right, man. Well, do you want to plug any, besides The Oath, do you want to plug any online stuff? You're only on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm only on Twitter. I quit Facebook. I have an Instagram, but I don't really use it.
Okay.
I'd actually like to plug, people get offline. Unplug. No, no.
Go online
be online's great. Be online's great.
All right, thanks, John.
All right, buddy.
And scene. There you go, folks. That was my talk with Jon Barinholtz. Thanks a lot, John, for coming in. I greatly appreciate it. I hope the movie does well, and we'll be looking out for your future projects. So one more time for my socials is at EJ Scott on Twitter, at EJ Podcast on Twitter, EJScott.com website, EJScott1106 Instagram, Running Blind documentary on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon, and curechm.org for choroideremia information. And go subscribe to my podcast on iTunes and iHeartRadio. Don't miss any podcasts from the past or the future. Go check them out. And if you can leave a review and a rating on iTunes. That would be a great help. And that's about it for today, folks. We will see you next time. Thanks.